you doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're back. It is Tuesday, a great Tuesday in the great state of Wisconsin here. I mean, weather's getting a little bit better out there. We've had yesterday, got up close to 40 here in central Wisconsin. Today we're supposed to get up to 40. Tomorrow is supposed to be 40. So definitely warming up here. The ground's starting to get, that lovely time of year where the ground starts to get a little bit sloppy. Nothing better than that. So fantastic with the weather right now. It's just me today here on the show. Austin and Rogan are both out today. Austin is actually celebrating his 21st birthday. So if you got his contact, anything like that, wish him a yesterday was his birthday, so you have to wish him a happy birthday there yesterday. But anyways, those guys been with the show for a little while now. They've got a lot going on with school right now, everything like that. So they're going to take breaks here and there. So looking like we're going to have more Mondays and Thursdays getting off the weekends and then our weekend preview. Those guys will be on the show here, help me out. And then between there, they're going to be gone. So it'll just be me talking here. Those guys will pop in here and there. But other than that, a lot of stuff going on right now with them. So just if anybody's wondering where those guys are at here on these episodes, that's where they're going to be at as of right now. We don't know what the future is going to hold for them being on the show and everything like that. But as of right now, they're going to pop in. That's going to be the plan here from here on out. So with that, lots of things we got to unpack today. Lots of things to talk about. The first thing, we didn't get into it yesterday, but I wanted to get into it today here. And that is the NBA All-Star Game. Watching that NBA, I watched that game. I watched parts of that game. I can't say I watched the whole game. And we talked about it. I talked about it here on the show. I said the simplest thing to me was I had to see something different than what I saw the year before. Year before, just terrible basketball all the way around. It wasn't like I was watching anything close to basketball. If I wanted to see a scoring competition, I would ask to see a scoring competition. When I asked to see the NBA All-Star Game, I want to see the NBA's best going at it up against each other. Now, this game here, the East won it 211 to 186. That's fine and dandy if you love an offensive output. The game gets away. That's the biggest problem in these games is, I'm not asking these guys to play regular season basketball. I'm not asking them to play playoff basketball in this game here. I'm asking them for effort. Some kind of show, care, anything that they want to be at the All-Star game, that they want to play in this game, not just on the offensive end. I don't want to see guys put up 9,000 threes in this game. I saw a stat from this game here, just pulling it up real fast. There were, in this game, the most three-point field goals made were by the East All-Stars. They made 42. The most three-point field goals made by both teams made 67. Combined in this game. Three-pointers attempted by the East, 97. There were 97 threes attempted by the East All-Stars, and the most three-point field goals made attempted by both teams, 168. That's bad. That's telling me, I'm not saying in the NBA basketball game, you're not going to see a lot of threes get put up. I'm not saying that. I'm not vouching against guys putting up shots. If that's what dictates a game, there's games that are won at the 3-point line. I'll give them that. But this isn't basketball. This is far from basketball. If anybody out there can say that they enjoyed watching this game, maybe little kids. I'll give them that. Kids might have enjoyed it, watching their all-stars go out there, throw the hammer down a couple times there, and jack up 45 threes. Little kids might have enjoyed it. But if you sit there as a basketball fan and you can seriously get into this game anymore, it baffles me. I mean, there were days with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant where this game meant something, where guys went out there and competed. You wanted to play against the guy next to you. You wanted to shut down the guy next to you. You wanted to outscore him, and winning the MVP title was actually meant something. Winning the MVP title in a shootout in this kind of game, Damian Lillard won the MVP. 39 points. Fantastic. But now show me you win that MVP award with a defender on you. You show me that you can score at that high clip. That high clip that you had in this game with a defender, with teams actually giving a crap on what's going on that end of the court. I mean, to be honest, All-Star weekend right now is a tragedy. It is. It is something that is not really cared about anymore. It's not a big deal as they like to make it. You know, ESPN pushes it across as this big deal. It's not. It's not really a big deal. The three-point contest I thought was good. You know, the three-point contest, there's not much you can take against guys. You know what I mean by that? You know, you watch these guys go out there, Curry and Ionescu. I thought that was fantastic. The three-point contest, you have guys shooting threes. They all want to hit threes. They all want to show that. So, I mean, that's fine. The slam dunk contest is terrible. I mean, that slam dunk contest has been terrible. Mac McClung is a G League basketball player who has now won it back-to-back years. You have NBA stars. I mean, key example, LeBron James, never been in the slam dunk contest. You have NBA stars right now. We talked about it yesterday where we thought of guys who we'd be interested seeing in the slam dunk contest. Will they ever go? I don't know. But I look at this slam dunk contest, I say it's terrible. I mean, Jaylen Brown, I mean, kudos to him for just entering his name into the slam dunk contest, but he threw the hammer down over a guy sitting down on a chair. On a chair. I mean, we used to watch guys like Dwight Howard come out of the phone booth there with the Superman cape on and go ham. That was cool. Watching Tracy McGrady, that was awesome. Watching Mike, that slam dunk contest, sorry, words there, between Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. That was awesome. But now we get slam dunk contests for the past couple of years where nobody cares. It's whatever. You know, you used to turn on your TV and say, I want to watch this. That was my favorite thing. My favorite thing was turning on the TV and trying to watch Dwight Howard come out of the phone booth with the cape on and throw the hammer down, do something cool. That was what I love to see. That was, I mean, something I look forward to. Nowadays, I don't look forward. I mean, I completely, honestly could forget. I forgot about Slam Dunk Contest that it was on. I watched the replay of the entire thing, but I didn't watch the whole thing live. I completely forgot about it. I honestly forgot the All-Star game was starting until my phone told me the All-Star game was on. That's the only reason why I remembered. I just believe right now the NBA has to fix it or they just have to get rid of it. I mean, it's a waste of time. If it's honestly a waste of money, it really is. It is a waste of money for people to go and watch that crap show. As an NBA basketball player, how could you be anywhere near like, we're doing good out there. We're playing well. I mean, this is fun. This is fun. How can anybody say that what is going on out there is good? I mean, you look at these box scores in these games. Giannis with 23, Tatum with 20. You had Jaylen Brown with 36, Damian Lillard with 39 points, Scotty Barnes and Jalen Brunson both 16 and 12, and then Maxey had 10 in this game here for the East All-Stars. You look on the flip side of that, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 31, Karl Anthony Towns had 50 points. 50 points in this game. I mean, the East All-Stars did not have a quarter where they scored less than 50 points. I get when you put the best of the best together, you're going to have great offensive outputs, but you should also have good defensive outputs too. Because some of these guys, regular season, are good defenders. LeBron James, supposed to be a good defender. Looking across the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, decent defender there. I don't even think Steph's a bad defender at times. I think he's undersized, but when he wants to get after a guy, he's going to get after a guy. Kawhi Leonard, barely played 10 minutes in this game, but still, solid defender when he wants to be. And that's where I see is, in this game, I see a lot of, well, this guy's a good defender when he wants to be, but for some reason, when we peg the best of the best against each other, we can't play defense. We can't even have subpar. We can't, I mean, you see more defense in a pickup game. This is not even a pickup game. This is nationally live. This is broadcasted live on, I believe it was on TNT. This is live. And these guys give this minimal effort when they're out there on a basketball court. That's ridiculous. That is just hands down ridiculous to me. I don't know. I don't know how you fix it. I really don't. Simply because I'm not a guy who says that they should give incentives. I really don't think so. These guys get paid a crap ton already. A crap ton. You're telling me that for a crap ton of money, you can't put on any kind of show where you play solid defense for at least half this game? Not even I don't even think there was a minute of solid defense. This is just where games are turning to. We've talked about it before, rivalries throughout the leagues, right? We've talked about it. They still try to push across, ESPN especially tries to push across these rivalries. Oh yeah, Lakers and Celtics, big old rivalry. Make sure you guys check that thing out. Nobody cares. The Lakers and Celtics gave up that crap show a long time ago. Same with there's no, in the NBA, there isn't a rivalry left. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a darn. It's the same team. We're just going on a road trip here. This game every single year drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. And if I didn't have to see it, if I didn't have to talk about it, I think I'd get over it. I really would. Just simply because that's how bad it's getting. Now, I like to talk about it simply because I want to get my point across. Because I think it definitely is something that needs to be fixed. I don't think they can keep going on with this. I really don't. I think it's a waste of time. You're turning into, we've talked about the NFL Pro Bowl. The NFL, we're going from, these guys are playing tackle football all year long, and then we get to this point where we go to the Pro Bowl, and now it's flag football. What kind of crap? What are we leading? What are we trying for? What are we really trying for here? And in sports, what is the mentality? What is the game? I always thought, every game, it didn't matter who you were playing against. You wanted to prove that you were the best of the best. And I don't think any guy in these All-Star games is proving that. I don't think at all. I don't know what the end goal is for some of these players. I would not be, for me, in these All-Star games, I wouldn't be proud to be an All-Star. I wouldn't, because you get picked to the All-Star game because you played well in the regular season. Okay, fine. But then you get there and you play like this? How can you be proud of that? How is this something to be proud of at the end of the day? Oh yeah, I made the All-Star game and we won the game 211 to 186. There's almost 400 points of scoring in this game, just under 400 points. 400 points. Now, yeah, LeBron James. Oh, yeah, this is a way that a lot of basketball games are trending these days. Interesting. That's the way a lot of these games are trending. Lack of defense? Maybe. Lack of effort? Because if this is the way that a lot of games are trending, you just proved our point out there that there's a lack of effort in the NBA right now. Lack of all of it. Not an offense. We can still fire up the three. We can still throw it down. Layups, dunks, threes. That's all you took out of this All-Star game. You didn't figure out if anybody was a good defender. You didn't figure out if anybody had hustle. Nothing. All you saw was a waste of time where guys went out there for, you look at the minutes per game by some of these guys. The highest was about 27. 27 minutes plus there. And ran around and chucked it up. It was like a shoot around. That's all I can compare it to. It's a full court shoot around. No defense. Rebound it, chuck it to the other end, fire it up. Glorified shoot around. That's all that it is. And they need to fix it. You look at Adam Silver after this was done, and he looks like he's almost reluctant to hand over awards to players just because he wants a more competitive game, but he can't get it. He can't get it out of these guys. Okay, so then what do? You don't have the All-Star game then. Put the young guys against each other. I thought there was more effort in that Rising Stars challenge than anything else. Put those guys against each other. If they give effort, so be it. What are we getting out of this? These guys could have sat at home, played 2K, and got this. I don't know. The fix, all I know is that it's a problem. And I'd be okay, honestly, if they got rid of it. I would. It's a waste of time. It is a waste of time. It is something that you want to look forward to. You want to see the best players in the league go against each other, team up and go against the best players from the opposite side. But I don't want to see them play for money. It was hard enough for me to accept the fact that the in-season tournament, they had to pay them to actually try. That was hard enough for me to accept there, because I think that's ridiculous. You have to pay these guys more to try. But at the end of the day, if these guys just don't want to give effort in this game, a simple game, not asking for a lot, 75%. That's all I'm asking for. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. If you can't even give me that in a game that's meant to be stars versus stars, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth the time. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth the TV rights. It's not worth the NBA paying to be put on TV for that. That's for 100% sure. So, I mean, just ridiculous once again what we saw there on Sunday night. So, I just wanted to talk about the All-Star game there. I want to get my opinion out there. We've seen opinions across the board there. If you ever go on social media, you'll hear Stephen A. Smith go off about it. We've heard lots of guys go off about it. So I just wanted to get kind of my opinion out there on what I thought of that All-Star game, because I'm not a fan right now. Not a fan of a lot of the All-Star, the Pro Bowl, the MLB All-Star game isn't bad yet, and the NHL All-Star game. But, I mean, it's going backwards. It really is. From what we saw in the past to what we're seeing now, this is bad. This is bad, and it's only getting worse year by year. I didn't think it could get worse than not this last year, but this was worse. So, moving out of that, I want to get out of there. I want to get out of the NBA All-Star game. That is something I don't want to talk about for too long there. We know Damian Lillard won the MVP award, so that's all that we took basically out of that game. But with that, I wanted to get into two of our sponsors here before I move on. And that first one is Game Day Supply in Alaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply to get your team the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. Have you been injured lately? You know, playing a sport at work, anything like that, you're looking for a good physical therapist out there, check out Chad there at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He will get you right and get you back on the field, back at work, anything like that. So with that, I want to get into the Brewers here. The Brewers did sign back Brandon Woodruff. I thought that was fantastic news out of the Brewers there. Just hearing them, and I mean, yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need. A little bit of that. A little bit of that. Awesome news. Awesome news. Awesome news. Yep. There it is. There it is. There it is. Let him know. Let him know. Awesome news there by the Brewers bringing back Brandon Woodruff. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, you know, he's out for this season. He's out for this year. And I agree. Yeah, 100%. I believe from everything we know, he's going to be out for majority of this year, if not the whole thing. He will be out for at least, I mean, barring the Brewers make the playoffs, make a run, I'm guessing he's not coming back. So with all that, you get Brandon Woodruff back. Now, from what we know, we don't know the numbers yet. I haven't seen the numbers yet, but I know it's a 2-year deal. Okay, 2 years. This year he's going to be out. I would think the Brewers pay him base salary, minimum, something a little bit on the lower end. He comes back next year, starts to pitch again. He's pitching fine. Okay, we bump up the money. We also put incentives in there. Hey, you get over this amount of innings, we're going to pay you this much. You get this many strikeouts, we're going to give you this much. If your ERA is underneath of this, win total is going to be this, we'll give you X amount of dollars. That's the way I would float if I'm the Brewers. I don't think the Brewers can afford. You're not going to pay him big money to sit the bench this entire year. So I got that feeling that the Brewers signed him back, but I feel like there's something that was in it for Woodruff, but also in it for the Brewers. The Brewers had to have their security for this season, seeing as Woodruff will be out. He understood that portion of it. I think he loves Milwaukee. I think he loves being in Milwaukee. And I think it's a great clubhouse guy. You know, Brandon Woodruff, he's a glue guy. He's a guy that holds it all together. And I think having him back there, especially with some of these young pitchers coming up, you're going to have a guy like probably Gasser at some point here. You're going to have Jacob Mizorowski. I don't know about Carlos F. Rodriguez at some point, but he might have the potential to come up. Even a guy like DL Hall just coming in. I even venture as far to say Freddie Peralta, because Peralta he's getting a little bit older. I'm not saying that he's still young, but I believe that even having a guy like Woodruff, who's been there a little bit longer than Freddie, he's done a little bit more than Freddie. Woodruff is still that solid hand that if he's not pitching, he can still guide the pitching staff. He can still work with that pitching staff, still help out the coaches, still help out the pitching coach, help out Pat Murphy, talk with him so that they understand. He can be that voice in the middle between that starting rotation and Pat Murphy, the guy who can kind of help out, smooth the edges, everything like that with some of these younger guys. I love Brandon Woodruff staying. You know what? Honestly, end of the day, if I had to pick in between Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burnes, I was picking Woody all day long. I like what Woodruff brings to the team a little bit more than I like Burnes. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Burnes he's a great arm. I thought he was a great pitcher. I hold nothing against Corbin Burnes, but clubhouse guy, overall morale guy, everything like that, I choose Brandon Woodruff all day long. That's just where I'm at with Woody. So I love the Brewers bringing back Woodruff. He won't pitch this season. Shoulder injury. You'll see what he brings back to the team next year. Now, I would have honestly, if I was the Brewers, I would have signed Brandon Woodruff to 2 years and then had like club options after that. You know, you're going to have that first 2 seasons there where he is under contract. After that, you have club player. I mean, you could have maybe done a player, but I don't like the idea of player options. I hate player options because, like Rhys Hoskins, makes you worry that he's going to leave if he has a good year. He's going to look for a big contract. So I look at Woodruff and I say, okay, you know, this is what I would have done is I would have said, hey, we'll give you 2 years, club option after that. We want to bring you back for that third year. Fantastic. I think Woody would have gone for it. I think maybe it's in the works yet. Maybe they're going to sign him to an extension after the fact, after that it'll be 2025 by the time that contract would roll around or they would think about that extension. So I would definitely be looking at that when that time comes because I think they did right by bringing Brandon Woodruff back to town. You know, for as much as we hate Brewer ownership at time, and I am the one who's going to tell you the most how much I hate Brewers ownership, this offseason, besides the strange trade of Corbin Burnes, because that one still strange to me. I get it. End of the day, you wanted to get prospects for him, get something back. I get that, but just a strange move altogether because I thought they were going all in. Besides that, you sign Rhys Hoskins, you sign Jackson Churro to a big deal. Now you bring back Brandon Woodruff. You've kept most of the pieces in-house now. I think the Brewers, they've done well. I think they have done well. I think they have the pieces already. I really do. You look in the outfield, you have Mitchell, you have Christian Yelich, you have Sal Frelick, you have Jackson Churro floating around there. Now, in the infield, you have Willy Adames is still there. We don't know how long, but Willy Adames is still there. You have Rhys Hoskins now, a good first baseman and a very good hitter when he's right. Hopefully everything checks out and he comes back hot. He's a very good first baseman. Bryce Terang, great glove. Hopefully he brings his bat to the party this year. He's going to be a fantastic infielder for you. You have bench bats in Monasterio and Miller. Depending on what happens at third base. We really don't know what's happened at third. Now the talks are Sal Frelick has been taking work at the infield, and I saw a video of him working at third base. I don't know if the plan is for Sal to play third, but you have the option for Sal Frelick at third base now. So you have a lot of options. You also have William Contreras coming back behind the plate. I don't know if the physical is what's holding back. I think it's the physical that's holding back Gary Sanchez coming in, but you technically have a guy like Gary Sanchez coming in if the physical is good. And then you have Eric Haas behind him. And then you still have a great catching prospect in Jefferson Cuero coming through the ranks right now. Tyler Black, another great infielder. Brock Wilken on the rise right now. You have a lot of depth and Joey Ortiz, prospect that came over from Baltimore in that Corbin Burnes trade. Joey Ortiz, another great infield prospect. You have the talent. I really do think you do. Bullpen-wise, Devin Williams. You have Pampas back. You have Paguero back. Bryce Wilson's still out there. Abner Uribe, Nobody talks about him, but the guy had a great first season with the Brewers and has the potential to be a setup man if Pop doesn't stay in there. You have a 4-man punch out there in the bullpen if Peguero's right. So that's fantastic. You look at the starting rotation, I believe Freddie will be fine. Wade Miley, if he gives you, the only thing I have wrong with Wade Miley is that he's a 2 in the rotation right now, and I think he's like a 4. That's the only thing I have wrong with Wade Miley. If he gives me a 3 ERA, solid. You got guys like Colin Ray. Colin Ray pitched well for the Brewers last season. You have DL Hall coming in, who can be a starter for this Brewers team. And then you have the rookies, Mizorowski. You also have Joe Ross, an experienced pitcher out there. You have Jacob Junis, who you just brought in. Probably will be one of your options there in the starting role. Aaron Ashby coming back. What does Ashby bring you? Ashby, sign him to a long deal. He's got the stuff. What does he bring you in the starting rotation? I like where the Brewers are at. I got to be honest with you. I really do. I like where this Brewers team is at right now. I think they have a lot of potential, and I think a lot of people are not really giving the Brewers the benefit of the doubt right now. When I look at, I just wanted to pull up the projected standings right now because I've seen a lot of people who are putting the Brewers in like third, down to third there in the division there behind, I believe it was the Cubs. Let me see if I can't pull it up here. They have the Brewers. I believe I saw one earlier where they had them at, right here. I believe this is the one I saw earlier. And that was, they had the this is the one I saw. It's off RotoChamp. And they had the Brewers finishing 4th. Cardinals finishing first at 85 and 77, followed by the Cubs at 82 and 80, the Reds 79 and 83, and the Brewers coming in at 79 and 83. I don't like that. I really don't. I think the Brewers offense is better than we've seen in years. Not years. I shouldn't say years. 2018, I thought the Brewers had a fine offense, and kind of in 2019. I think this Brewers offense, one of the better ones we've seen, and you always say if, right? You got to say if you're talking about, before season there. And I'm going to say if. I will say if. Christian Yelich hits anywhere near he did last year. William Contreras is your solid bat. Rhys Hoskins comes back and hits well. And Willy Adames gives you anything, 250. And then you have these rookies, not the rookies anymore, second year. Sal Frelick, Mitchell, Jackson Churro. You're going to have bits and pieces in there. Like I said, I don't know who's going to fill in at third base, but you're going to have guys who can hit in this lineup. I think the Brewers offense is fine. This is the first time in a while where I'm going to say going into a season, I think the Brewers offense can hit. And I haven't said that in a while. I've looked at his Brewers teams over the years, and I've said, I really worry. I really do worry. I don't know if this Brewers team can string along hits. I don't know if they can produce runs. I think they might rely on the home run ball too much, and I don't think they're going to be able to deliver it. And now it's like, okay, we have a few guys with pop, but a majority of our lineup is contact. And I like that. There might be people out there, and you might be listening and saying, I don't know about that. I like pop. I like the home run swing. I'm going to be on the opposite side of the fence for you. I like the old traditional. You had your cleanup hitter, and then you had your leadoff guy whose job was just to get on. I don't want home runs out of my leadoff guy. I want him to get on base. And then after that, I want my 2 guy to be able to move him over. I want my 3 guy to have just a little bit. He's going to have some pop, but not a whole bunch. I want him to be that gap hitter, the guy who can double one off the wall. And then I want my 4 hitter to be the thump, followed by that 5 who's got that thump too. I think the Brewers have that. I'm going to be honest with you. You look at this team, you could say honestly right now, I know people love Christian Yelich in leadoff spot. I would venture to put Sal Frelick or Garrett Mitchell in there. I'd be honest with you. Both them guys, contact hitters, speedy, can get on base for you. I like those 2. I put Yelich in my 2 hole. I put William Contreras at my 3 spot, and I throw my power hitter and Rhys Hoskins at my 4, followed by Willy Adames if he's hitting at that 5 spot. If not, I move him down. I move him down to my 6, 7 hole. But other than that, then you fill in the guys. You fill in the blanks there. Bryce Terang's probably towards the bottom of your order. I don't know who's playing third base. I can't say who's playing third base yet, so he's going to be an anomaly to me. I don't know who's going to be in there. Jackson Churro, if he plays center field, he's going to be towards the bottom. The opposite outfielder is going to be towards the bottom. And then your third baseman would be mixed in there. Probably if it is, let's just say Tyler Black. Maybe you put Tyler Black in that 7 spot. He's a very good, he's got a very good eye, very good plate discipline. He would be a guy to get on base. Maybe put him in the 9 hole and you just have him get back on for the top of the order. That'd be a guy who could definitely benefit in that bottom spot, being able to get on for the top. I look at the Brewers and I say they have the potential in this lineup to be very good. Very good. I'm going to say very. I don't even think, this small market talk right now. I think this team is built young, and I think they can excel just like the Arizona Diamondbacks did last year. Now, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they found lightning in a bottle. They had a guy like Evan Longoria at third base who looked like he was still 21 years old when he was playing the Brewers because he's snagging balls left and right. I'm not saying the Brewers are going to find lightning in a bottle like that, but I think they have that potential. I mean, you get a rookie of the year candidate. Let's just say Jackson Churro comes up and just lights the world on fire. There's your spark. There's all the spark you need. Sal Frelick and Garrett Mitchell, we know those guys can hit. I mean, a lot of people question Sal coming up. Sal can hit. We know that. We know Mitchell can hit. We've seen it. We've seen Mitchell hit. I'm not worried about Garrett Mitchell hitting. I think that guy can hit. He's a contact hitter through and through, and the guy's got wheels. William Contreras, as long as he doesn't try to develop into this big bopper and he stays how he is, this gap-to-gap hitter where he's plugging the right center field gap like it's his job, I love William Contreras. I really do. I love what he does at the plate. He's not looking. He's going to hit the home run ball for it. He's got the pop, but he's not looking for it. He's looking to drive it the other way into the gap, and I think that's awesome. Willie Adames, I wish he would try that because Willie Adames, when he was a right field hitter, is solid. It's just he tries to pull everything. He's trying to be that power hitter. Dial it back. I think he'd be fine. I really do. Rhys Hoskins is thump. He's got the thump. He's got the average and the thump when he's right. So I like Rhys Hoskins in there too. This Brewers lineup has got potential, a lot of potential to be very good. And I like what I'm seeing right now. I think these projections are way off. I really do. The Cubs haven't done anything. They're sitting there stagnant right now. And they might feel good about themselves. I think they might. But I don't think they have the solid bats in that lineup anymore. I don't think the Cardinals have the pitching. I really don't think they do. And I don't think the Reds are old enough yet. I still think they're young. I still think they have a lot of growing pains they got to go through yet. Pirates, they have them at the bottom. I like the Pirates at the bottom. I think the Pirates will be the bottom. If I was going to do my projection right now for the NL Central standings, honestly, I think the Brewers win the Central. I really do. I don't think you have to, an 85-77 record for the Brewers in this year. I don't even think that's a far off guess from what they could do in this season. And I think there'll be I would say 87 would be my max. I think they'd be at like an 87 win team, but I think that's going to be good enough to win the Central Division here if I had to guess. I think it'll be the Brewers, then I think the Cubbies will come in there in second. I think the Cardinals will finish third. I think the Reds are still working on it. I think they'll finish fourth, and then I think the Pirates will come in last place. I think the Pirates, they got talent. There's some talent on that roster, but I feel like they still have a lot of work they have to do before they're at the top. So I definitely do not like the projections that I'm seeing right now. I think they're not giving the Brewers the benefit of the doubt. They saw the Corbin Burnes trade, and I think they docked a lot of wins from the Brewers and kicked them into losses just because of the loss of Corbin Burnes. I think they can make that up. I really do. I like the promise of these pitchers. It really depends on what kind of rotation the Brewers go for. If they're going for experience, if they're going for strikeouts, if they're going for ground balls, whatever they're trying to go for. If you're going for strikeouts, Robert Gasser, he was ridiculous last year in AAA. I believe he was, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but he was ridiculous down there last year in AAA strikeout-wise. Jacob Mizorowski's a big swing and miss guy, and then Freddie, big swing and miss guy there too. Ashby's got the stuff. I really do think he's got the stuff. I don't know if he's going to be an ace, but I think he could be a 3. I think he could be a 4. I really do. So I like the Brewers where they're at right now. I really do. And I think the Brewers have a lot of potential here moving forward. But with that, I want to get to a couple more of the sponsors here before we move on. First one, sports cards and memorabilia in Marshfield, in the Marshfield Mall here in Marshfield, Wisconsin. If you need any sports memorabilia, any sporting cards, if you need that gift for your sports enthusiast, check out Al there at Sports Scene in Marshfield. Tons of stuff. If you need a jersey, if you need to find that one card, maybe some box cards, some retail box cards or anything like that, he'll have it down there at the store. And if he doesn't, he will help you find it. So Sports Scene in Marshfield, located in the Marshfield Mall. Also, your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. But with that, I got to get into the NCAA men's. They did release the top 25 as of yesterday there. And, well, Badger fans, we knew it was coming. We knew the Badgers were going to drop out of the top 25 at some point. I thought, honestly, it'd be before this last week. They stayed in the top 25. Then they decided, let's take the heartbreaking loss to Iowa over the weekend. That'll put the final nail in the coffin on that one. So Badgers drop out of the top 25. Otherwise, top 25 right now, UConn, followed by Houston. Purdue dropped to the third spot with that loss of Ohio State there, followed by Arizona, Tennessee. Iowa State moves up to the 6th spot. Marquette in 7. Duke moves up to the 8. Kansas in the 9th spot. North Carolina at the 10. Baylor at the 11. Illinois sitting there at 12. Alabama's at 13. Auburn is at the 14th spot. Creighton's at 15. Dayton is at 16. St. Mary's is at the 18th spot, followed by San Diego State at the 19. South Carolina is at 20, Washington State at 21, Colorado State at 22, Texas Tech at 23, followed by Florida and BYU. You know, it's been the first time I've been able to say this in a while, but Florida Atlantic's finally out of the top 25. It's about time. That is about time for that one. They have been just dragging them along all season long, and finally that loss to USF took them out of there. So that's good for me. That's good for me because I was really... it was killing me seeing them in there every single week. But other than that, I look at this top 25 and I say, okay, I like the top team in UConn. Houston's been playing well as of late. Purdue loses to Ohio State to drop to 3. They still have an impressive record, so that keeps them up towards the top there. Duke jumps up to that 8 spot. Kansas dropped to that 9. Illinois moved up to 12. Alabama's still hanging around. Auburn, 14. They did take the loss to Kentucky, but not a huge loss. South Carolina did lose. They dropped to 20. Indiana State, they kill me. You get into the top 25, they lose a couple games. I mean, the pressure just got put on them and they couldn't handle it anymore. Sucks to see them move out of there. I was really excited when Indiana State got into that ranking. Other than that, I mean, not a crazy lot happened in the top 25. I mean, Badgers dropped out. There was a couple teams that dropped out. Wisconsin, Virginia, Indiana State, Florida Atlantic, and Oklahoma. Those were teams that dropped out of the rankings there. Washington State jumped in. Florida, BYU dropped 6 spots down to that 25 spot. Virginia did receive votes to get back in. Gonzaga is on the verge of getting back into the top 25 here. They received 99 votes to get into that top 25. So they are right on the verge of hopping their way back in. And Michigan State's coming up the tail right now, 64. A lot of people said that my top 16 was crazy. Michigan State, they're coming back in. They're coming back here at the end of the season. So definitely interesting stuff right there in the top 25. Looking at our big game, you know, I'd love to say it was a big game for the Badgers because it should be a game where they're solidifying their resume before moving into March. Now it's about survival for the Badgers. Badgers will be taking on Maryland tonight. That game will be at 8 o'clock on Peacock. That'll be live from the Kohl Center for that one. Right now, tickets are going as low as $4. So you can tell how big that game is right there against Maryland. Badgers favored heavily in this game. Maryland's not, I'm going to tell you this. They're 14-12. They're not a great team, but they're not a bad team. This is like that Ohio State game. This is like that Iowa team. This isn't a pushover team. Maryland has played close. They beat Iowa 78 to 66. They lost in double overtime to Ohio State. Other than that, they took close losses. Lost by 3 to Rutgers. Lost by 5, 85 to 80 to Illinois. This team can ball out. This team can play. Looking at them right now, they're averaging about 69 points a game right now, 36 rebounds. They're actually rebounding the ball very well on this season right now. They're getting about 6 steals a game right now. So this team's going to get after you. And that kind of makes you nervous for a team like the Badgers, who are heavily turning the basketball over right now. This Maryland team likes to turn you over. Badgers playing right into that hand right now. Shooting the basketball, Maryland struggled this year. 41% shooting the basketball right now. Kind of a struggle there for this Maryland team. But, you turn it around. You say fast break points can kill you. Fast break points can kill you if you are the Badgers in this one. So looking at this Maryland team, pulling up their stats here, Jameer Young is their all-around main guy. If you want to shut a guy down from this Maryland team, you got to shut down Jameer Young, the point guard for this Maryland Terps team. He's averaging about 35 minutes a game, 21 points. He's shooting about 35% from downtown, 40% from the field right now. So definitely playing well on this season here. Julian Reese, the big fella for this Terps team. He's averaging about 13 a game right now, 10 rebounds. He's also averaging 2 blocks per game right now, and 52% from the field right now shooting the basketball. You want a guy to put to the line, though? That's the guy. Julian Reese, 56% at the free throw line. So Badgers get into a struggle. This is the guy you got to send to the free throw line if you are Wisconsin. I look at this Badger team in this one. I say, okay, where can you win this game? Where do the Badgers have to excel in this game? First and foremost, you can't turn the basketball over. You can't turn the basketball over at the clip they've been doing. They've been playing sloppy to start games, and that's a killer. That is hands down the biggest killer the Badgers have had as of late, is turning the basketball over. But you look at the flip side of that. Okay, what can we do to Maryland in this game here? This Maryland team, as of right now, they are also prone to turning the basketball over. 11 turnovers per game right now. You can turn this team over. It's not like they're this phenomenal team handling the basketball. This is a team that you can turn over here, and I think that's where the Badgers have to excel in this game, is flip the script. Flip the script on a team. Stop turning the basketball over in terrible games and turn that team over. That's what I see with Wisconsin right now going in this Maryland game. They have to be able to turn over Maryland in this game here. Looking at a couple of the key contributors for Maryland, just going through the line here, Dante Scott is averaging about 11 a game right now. Dante Scott, another guy that they're going to have to keep underneath the wraps. He's shooting about 33% from downtown. All around, this is not a good three-point shooting team in Maryland. Now, he said that about Rutgers, too. Rutgers was terrible going into that Badger game. They lit them up for 11. This team's about 28% from downtown. I like the odds there. Force them to shoot the three, try to keep the ball out of the paint, try to cut the driving lanes off. Something the Badgers have struggled with, shutting the driving lanes off, shutting down the pick and roll. That's going to be big things the Badgers have to watch out for in this ball game here, going up against Maryland. I'm looking at the size here for Maryland, relatively smaller. Julian Reese, he's about 6'9", and then you have a guy like Dante Scott, he's about 6'8" for this Maryland team here. They don't have a lot of size. Okay, so what do you got to do? You got to attack the paint. You got to attack the post area. Steven Crowell, as of late, has been playing a little bit better for this Badger team, and I think that's something they have to continue to carry into this game here. He's going to be going up against the big fella from this Maryland team here he's 6'6". He doesn't have a lot of size here. They don't have a lot of size that they're willing to use in these games. They have size coming off the bench, some younger guys, 6'11", but they don't utilize them as much. They go with a smaller lineup. This is where the Badgers can also come. They can kind of complement themselves by going with a smaller lineup also in this game. Maybe you go with more four-guard looks. Maybe you can afford to put Tyler Wall into that 5 spot for a little while. Give Steven Crowell a break. Get more guys like John Blackwell out there at the same time while having A.J. Storr, Chucky, and Klesman on the court there for this Badger team. Maybe you can go with that kind of look. This is a smaller team. They like to play smaller lineups. Maybe you can afford to go to that for a short period. I think the Badgers will have to win this game in the paint, though. Looking at their three-point percentage as of late, not shooting the ball well, very hesitant to shoot. This is a game the Badgers have to own the paint. Rebounding, scoring, everything in between. This team gets after the ball here in Maryland. They're going to get after the paint. They're going to get after rebounds, and they're going to try to get second chance points. And that's what the Badgers have to avoid, is allowing Maryland to get those second chance points in this game here. Something that has killed the Badgers as of late, the effort on the defensive end. So, I mean, all the way around, this game for Wisconsin is going to test them as much as any game that they have played here in the past couple weeks. Maryland, not a great team, but they're a testy team. Iowa, not a great team, but they test you. And they find your weaknesses, and they found the Badgers. Looking at this game against Maryland, same thing. That's what Ohio State tried to do. Ohio State just couldn't hit shots. I mean, we talked about it after that game. They missed a lot of point-blank layups. Badgers are allowing too many open looks on this season, and I think that's something they have to clean up if they want to do anything successful with the rest of this year. That defense has got to get fixed. And we're actually going to go through some of the stats here for the Badgers in a second, but I mean, all the way around in this game, you got to see a good game from Steven Crowell here once again. I know it's like we're harping on this guy to keep playing well, but Steven Crowell has got to be the main guy for the Badgers in this game. Right now, he's averaging about 11.3 and 7 rebounds for the Badgers. Max Klesman is averaging 2 made three-pointers over the last 10 games for Wisconsin. He has struggled as of late for this Badger team. And shooting the basketball from all over, I'd love to see Max find his way in this game against Maryland. They're going to need him. They're going to need him like no other, and I think this is a game the Badgers really will need Max Klesman. I think they will need Max Klesman in this game to step up big for him here. So with that, I wanted to look over. I know I just mentioned it there for a second, but I wanted to look at this Badger team. I've been kind of doing a little bit of research here and there and trying to see what the Badgers are doing that is just killing them as of late here. So I went through the stats. I wanted to see where the Badgers rank nationally in certain categories, because I'm like, okay, something is different about this Badger team than what we've seen in the past. So I looked at the Badgers all the way through and through, and I looked at their bench points per game. This is something that we harped on so much in the in the preseason. We were like, yes, Badgers finally got some depth. They have the ability to go deep on that bench, 5 deep, 6 deep, whatever it is. They can go deep on that bench. They rank 240th in bench points, 17 points per game off the bench. How many games are you going to win like that? You are relying so heavily on that starting lineup to be able to produce for you night after night. When you have talent on that bench, you have scoring on that bench. Some of your better scorers are coming off that bench. Connor Essegian is one of the better scorers on this basketball team, yet he doesn't get the minutes to be able to do it. He doesn't get the minutes to be able to get hot, to stay hot, to get consistent, to get his shot back. You give him 5 minutes a night, what's the guy going to be able to do? He's going to put up shots in practice. He's going to put up shots in scrimmages. That's not game. I know you can only practice so much to the point of playing in a basketball game. That is something that I learned over the years there, playing in high school, playing a little bit in college there. I learned that over those years, was that you could only learn so much and get the feel so much for a game from going live in practice against an opposing player. You can only get so much out of it. Practice is different. When you get into a game, it's a different kind of mentality. You're going up against somebody you're not used to. They're throwing different kinds of things at you. You can only practice so much for it. It's something that I just don't think they're utilizing well. You got a guy like Connor Essegian, he was the best shooter on your team last season. This season, you treat him like he's a freshman coming in who has never touched a college basketball court, and you just got to get his feet wet. You know, you take that kid to the swimming pool for the first time, and they don't know how to swim yet. You're going to teach them. You just want to stick their feet in. Just get their toes in there. You know, the water might be hot. We got to stick our toes in. That's what we're doing with Connor Essegian right now. It's like we're getting his toes wet, and then we're pulling him out. This guy goes on a heater. He can score. He can hit 5 straight threes for Wisconsin, and for some reason, Greg Gard will find a reason to pull him out, and we won't see him again. We'll put Max Klesman back in there. Max Klesman, when he's on a heater, fine. When Max is hitting, that's all fine and dandy. But he hasn't. That's my thing. He hasn't. And at the end of the day, you have to use your best five. Like we talked about yesterday. Throughout a game, you're going to figure out who your best five is that night. It changes. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'd love for you guys out there to tell me different, but your starting five is not always your best five that night. Scoring, defensively, rebounding the basketball, attitude, effort, everything in between, not always the same five. Yet, Wisconsin is consistently putting the same five out there at the end of games. Why? Answer me that. Why? If Connor Essegian's on a heater throughout the game and he's got 15 points, why is he not in the game at the end of the game when we need a bucket? Why is, if Blackwell has been scoring the basketball fine, he's been playing, he's giving the most effort on the team, why is he not out there at the end of a game here? If Steven Crowell is playing like Sherman Ultrasoft out there, and Nolan Winter is giving me 1,000% every time he steps on the basketball court, why is Nolan Winter not in there if Steven Crowell isn't giving me Jack Diddley squat? If Tyler Wall's playing out of his gourds and for some reason just going too fast, turning the basketball over, why is Tyler Wall out there? I understand. Experience. You want your most experienced players out there. I get that. I understand that. But at the end of the day, you got to put your best five out on the basketball court. I don't believe the Badgers are at times. I think we try to so heavily utilize the starting five. They might be getting tired. They might be getting so beat up that they don't have it anymore. They don't have the legs. They don't have the ability to hit shots like they were early on this season. We watched that team early on, torching the net. This team was crazy. We were talking the best offensive numbers we've seen in Madison in forever. And now we're talking about this team like they're no better than the crap shows that we've seen a couple years ago. What's the difference? I mean, the biggest question I had today that I heard was, where do you think this Badger team is? Are they the Badger team that we saw early on? Is that this real Badger team and we're just in a slump? Or are we closer to the team we're seeing now? I think we're in the middle. I really do. I don't think we're as good as what we saw early on. I thought that team was just torching the nets and everything was fluently working. But I don't think they're as bad as what they're playing right now. I think they forgot the fundamentals of basketball. I really do. The simple fundamentals. So that takes me back to, what does practice look like? When you walk into the gym for practice, what does this Badgers practice look like? Because if Greg Gard isn't harping on these guys in practice, what are we working on in practice? You know, we look at rebounding for the Badgers as of late. Not terrible, but not great. Turnovers, terrible. Free throws. Free throw percentage for the Badgers is actually pretty good this year. I believe I have the stat here for the free throws. They've actually shot on the season here, I believe they're at 75%. 75%. That actually sits them at 137th in the league. Not bad free throw percentage. I won't take anything against that free throw percentage. They get to the line, they make their free throws. They're averaging about 15 free throws a game. This last game, something simple like that. So is it the focus? Is it the mental focus of this team? What is it? What's killing this Badger team the most at the end of the day? And I think this true potential of the Badgers is right in the middle of what we've seen this season, but I don't think they're even playing to that right now. Defensive efficiency for this team right now is bad. I look at the rebound margin right now. The rebound margin is 4. 34 rebounds for Wisconsin per game. Opponents are averaging about 30. They're ranked for 65th in the league right now. Defensive rebounds, they have about 24 a game. Offensive, they're averaging about 10. Opponents' points per game right now, they're 83rd in the league. 68 points a game they're giving up right now. The scoring margin right now, the Badgers are at points per game right now, 74 compared to opponents scoring 68. I think a lot of that has to do with this early season magic because as of late, we've seen a lot of bad scoring outputs from the Badgers. So I look at this team and I say, okay, where am I closer to? I think they're closer to the middle. I think they're right in between. I don't think they're terrible. I don't think they're fantastic. I think they're right in the middle. I don't think when they got up to the 6th spot in the nation, I don't think they were truthfully the 6th best team in America. Now, did I think they were top 20? You might argue, but yeah, I do. I think this team has the ability to be in the top 20. I think they have good guard play. I think they have scoring on this team. I think they have a big guy with when he wants to. This is another thing that harps back to practice. What is Steven Crowell doing in practice? Because we get so hot and it's so hit or miss with Steven Crowell. One night he's super aggressive. Next night he gives me nothing. What is it with Steven Crowell? And Tyler Wall, been a consistent force for you. Chucky Hepburn, so hesitant to shoot the basketball at times. Max Klesman in that last game, yes, he was missing, but he hesitated a lot to shoot. Lack of bench play. What are these guys showing you in practice that you can't put them out there in the game and be able to contribute? Right now, there's a lot of problems in this Badger offense and this Badger defense and this Badger team. And at the end of the day, how do you fix it? This is a lot on Greg Gard. What can Greg Gard do for the Badgers to help them move forward here? Number one, it starts in the practices. It's going to start in practice. Trying to get these guys mentally into games. I don't feel like at times these guys are mentally ready to step out on a basketball court and play a game. That Rutgers game was prime example. They lost by 20. That game was over from the opening tip. There wasn't a moment in that game where I said to myself, I think the Badgers can come back. I really do. Michigan, they went into that game thinking Michigan was the worst team in America, and Wisconsin played like Michigan was better. I look at this team and I say, I think they can do it. I think they can make the tournament. I think they can win a game. After that, I don't know. That's a question mark. It all comes down to who gets hot in the month of March. This Maryland game is going to tell us a lot about where this Badger team is at. This is a game at the Kohl Center. You win on the road now as of late. You've lost some games on the road as of late. You got to be able to win a game at home. You got to take care of your home floor here. And you have to start out this final stretch that you have on the right foot. Because right now you are 17-9. 17-9. This is a stretch now where you play Maryland, and then you go to Indiana. Then you welcome in the Illinois Fighting Illini, followed by a Rutgers team that beat you by 20. And then you travel to Purdue. If you can't win this Maryland game, it doesn't give me much faith about Assembly Hall. It doesn't give me a lot of faith about Illinois. And that Purdue game is daunting on this Badger team. I'm not talking big. I'm not talking NCAA tournament right now. I believe the Badgers will make the NCAA tournament. What I'm talking is Big Ten. Big Ten tournament. That's the first stop. I'm worried the Badgers won't get into that double bye. I believe they will be playing on the second day in that tournament. Right now, where this team is heading, that's what I'm seeing right now out of this team. Now, can they turn around? I believe they can. I believe 100% they can. But this team needs a wake-up call. And I thought, you know what, honestly, I'm looking at this streak the Badgers have been on. I thought Michigan would have been a wake-up call. I really do. The Nebraska game didn't hurt. It didn't hurt that bad. I mean, 19-point deficit, you blew it. End of the day, you got over it. Purdue lost that game, close one. You got over it. When you went to Michigan, and Michigan basically treated you like you were the lesser team, and you were never truthfully coming back in that game, that was a gut punch. Then you went to Rutgers, and you just got the doors knocked off you. That wasn't even a game. You got the doors knocked off you. And that wasn't enough wake-up call. You played an Ohio State team, and you know what? I will say, Badgers won that game. It was a gutsy win. But Ohio State had a lot of chances to make that 62-54 score look like a 62-60 game at the end. They had that shots. They had shots at the rim that they missed late in that one that would have pushed that score even closer, and the Badgers were hanging on for dear life. That Iowa game, that hurt the most. Out of any loss, that one hurt more than anything. Why? That game, you had a 13-point lead. Everything was flowing just right. Defense lost you that game. Something the Badgers have hung their hat on for years failed them. And that's my worry with Wisconsin. Why and when did the defense become a second priority? Because this Badger team, they don't have the talent to win a 99-98 game. I'll be honest with you. If you can truthfully tell me that this team, you look at your team and you say, what are going to be our strengths, right? What's going to be our strength at the end of the day? If you look at this Badger team and you say, my strength is going to be, I'm going to outshoot that team. You're nuts. You're nuts. This Badger team isn't outscoring teams. I have seen better Badger teams in the past. Frank Kaminsky's Badger team, 2 years of that team was better than this team. I would even go as far to say that team with Demetra Trice and Micah Potter and Brad Davidson, they were a pretty well put together team. And if they weren't better than this team, they were equal to this team. What did those teams pride themselves on? Defense, tenacity, getting after the boards, free throws. Those were the big things. That was Bo Ryan. If this is supposed to be, Greg Gard's supposed to be the guy coming after Bo Ryan, who's supposed to be like, you didn't skip a beat and you're just jumping in. He's failing at that. I really do think he is, because this team has taken the opposite trend. Now we're trying to become this offensive team. All of a sudden, we're this big offense-oriented team. I mean, I look at the scores here, and you say, okay, Marquette, 75 points. You look at the game against Nebraska at home, 88. The win against Iowa at home, 83. You had that game against Michigan State, 70. Okay, I like those. Michigan State again, you scored 81. Indiana, you scored 91. Penn State, in a loss, you scored 83. But Penn State scored 87. In a loss to Arizona, Arizona scored 98-73. That was the final score in that game there. I look at a lot of these scores. 80 points given up to Tennessee. 70 scored by Wisconsin. How many times in the past have we seen the Badgers win a game 59-40? 60-something to 50-something. How many times? A lot. A lot of 60-something to 50-something games. 70-59. A lot of those games. Now the Badgers are losing those games. They can score 70 points, but they can't play the defense to back it up. That's the problem. Badgers, simple, end of the day problem. They forgot about one thing this season, and that was defense. And that's something that has regressed. I talked about things that have regressed with players, not as a team. Team-wise, this defense has gotten worse. And that's the problem. That is the biggest end-of-the-day problem if you are the Badgers. Opponents are averaging 36% from downtown against Wisconsin right now. Turnovers forced, they're averaging about 11 turnovers per game right now. The turnover margin, opponents 287, Wisconsin 260. You're turning the basketball over too much. You're allowing the other team to turn you over. Those are some big problems with Wisconsin. I took down a lot more stats here. I want to get into a lot more stats here with Wisconsin in the future. But as of right now, when I see this Badger team, I just say, what the heck? What the heck can they do to fix it? I don't think the Badgers are the worst team in America. I don't. And I don't think they're this big tragedy and there's nothing that can fix it. But I think end of the day, you want to fix this problem, you got to get better on the defensive end. You got to scheme it up better on the defense. You got to out-hustle teams. You got to be the aggressor. And I think the Badgers have gone away from that. And the tenacity on the defensive end is something they definitely have to check out here. So, end of the day, Badgers got a big game against Maryland. They got to win this game against Maryland. 8 o'clock tip for that one. Badgers need this one desperately. They have to win this game. They have to. At the end of the day, they have to win this game. So, with that, that is about all I got for today. We talked about a lot. Brewers, All-Star Game reactions, everything in between. Badgers, got to get the win tonight against Maryland. Man, do they need a win more than anybody right now. Should be a good game. So check that out if you got Peacock. Otherwise, watch it on the ESPN app or wherever you can. Or, even better, tune in on the radio, listen to Matt LePay and Brian Butch call that game, because nothing is better than listening to Matt LePay and Brian Butch on the radio. But with that, that is all I got. This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.